Good evening, everyone. Ragewood here, back with another Godforge video. And on this particular Sunday, we're going to be taking a look at two things. We're going to look at the most recent podcast that was done with Cole Red, Sham, Simon, and Brad. And we're also going to take a look at something that Simon dropped in the main chat, which I actually missed until now, and that also has a few juicy details in there. So, without further ado, let's get into it. As always, before we get too deep into it, if you have not already signed up to the beta, you can by visiting fateless.gg, clicking the beta sign up here, and filling in this form. Once you filled in this form, as soon as more information is released about the beta, you will be one of the first to know. So if you come to the Fateless YouTube channel, the video in question is this sort of, is Godforge free-to-play friendly? And that is the thumbnail just there. So I'm just going to mute the podcast for the time being. So these podcasts are actually sort of about an hour long. So there's an awful lot to sort of digest and go through. However, what I did is I actually went and watched it and made some notes of some timings and things. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to those sort of bits, if you will, and then I'll let the podcast talk and then sort of give my reaction and thoughts to it. So the first one, or the first couple, actually happened quite early. It was around the 5-minute mark. So I'm just going to come to sort of here, unmute it.
Monetization. Well, I guess so. We do know there's definitely going to be a gotcha element to the game. There's definitely going to be things like battle pass on a monthly basis, or just a monthly pass, which improves people. I guess enhances the speed that you can get stuff, or will open up potentially, like a monthly champion or something along those lines. So there's a couple of different kind of elements in that.
So, a couple of things to take from that. Okay, now monthly passes, battle passes are actually quite common, okay? And firstly, monthly champions. Yes, please, take that. That's always good. Especially if it's a legendary. Probably won't be a legendary. But even epic heroes, there are some great epic heroes in a lot of games. So if you're getting one of those free at the end of each month, great, and especially as monthly passes or battle passes don't tend to be mega expensive. Now, the other thing you mentioned is these might sort of increase the speed you can get things in the game, or they might not have been his exact words, but they went down that sort of line. And it's quite common as well that if you have these passes or these premiums, whatever they are, you get something like 20% increased experience from your runs, 20% increased gold gain from your runs, something like that. So it will give the players a little bit of an edge, but I don't think it's ludicrous or ridiculous, especially if it was something like £5 a month, for example. So big fan of that. That's something I've always sort of liked about these sort of games. Now, you're going to mute them again now, just because the next part is actually too far from here, sort of thing. It's around the 7.5-minute mark, and it's Sham himself that actually sort of potentially drops something. You can see that he wants to say something, but we'll speculate on it. But I think maybe the sort of picture we've got of Simon in the shirt which says more leaks, I might have to try and Photoshop Sham's face on that, because he always lets something out the bag himself. So I'll just sort of skip forward a little bit. So it's around the 7.5-minute mark, but we'll join here.
But if you're thinking, oh man, I've got a great squad, I've got a great team, and now I really want to invest in building up. I don't know how much we've talked about this, but I want to building up my account. I will say building up my account and having better gearing for my characters. Well, you might want to invest in getting involved more often, or more speed. So we'll have a bunch of different layers of things that people can do where they can find the value,
So that's really interesting as well. So he doesn't quite let it slip, all right, but he does sort of suggest that when it comes to monetization and spending in the game, the obvious one is if you're like me, Pokemon, you want to get them all, you can buy crystals, I think is what they've settled on now for their thing, to give you the chance to pull more heroes, that kind of thing. Or if you're happy with your pool of heroes, you can. And then this is where he sort of catches his tongue before he lets it out. But, he sort of suggests, potentially buying gear. I don't necessarily see anything wrong, but let's say there are 10 different gear sets in the game. And for a tenner, you can get 20 random pieces from across that spectrum of 10 gear sets. There's a lot of variance there. You're not going to necessarily guaranteed to get, that speed piece or that attack piece that you really want. So I don't know. I don't necessarily think that's a bad idea. But you do run the risk, there are those mega whales might buy £100 worth of gear to try and get the perfect set without having to run the dungeon, if you will. So you say I'm unsure on it, but I don't think I hate it, so to speak. Now, what else could Sham be going on about there? Sort of improving your account or spending to improve your account. And this is the other thing that I think they could be on about. Okay, now this is a video that Simon released 2 weeks ago for the Fateless video. When they talk about the beta breakdown, what to expect, when, etc. And as he's going through the video, he goes to click on the summon page and very quickly removes it so that we don't see what I've got up here. But, my experience with TikTok has meant my pause game is very good. And so I think the other thing Sham could be on about would be to do with the imprint extraction and the imprint transmutations, okay? So as we look here at this imprint transmutation, okay, we can quite clearly see you can trade in a few epic heroes for something. And now what that something is, to me, very clearly looks like some kind of weapon, okay? It looks like we've got a sword here, with your cross handle here, and then the blade up the top there, something like that. Now, firstly, obviously, it's good to see they've got some sort of a dupe system in the game, where you can perhaps take your extra heroes, extract the imprints, whatever they are, and then transform them into something, okay? So, almost like soul stones in Raid is sort of what I'm envisioning. So it could be something like that Sham is on about. If you're happy with your squad, you can buy these transmutations, or maybe even the weapons themselves, whatever they are, whether they're artifacts or legendary pieces of gear that a hero can have in exchange for normal gear to give them ridiculous stats, whatever it is. This is what I believe the other thing is that Sham is on about, or maybe something to sort of some sort of material to craft loads of weapons, that kind of thing. Okay, so the next part of the recording, the 15-minute mark, something like that.
It's bored, or it felt like it was just carbon copy of stuff I'd done before, so I was pretty bored. And what we're trying to make sure is, like, when we drop an event, it feels like an event, and it feels like in my head, it's almost like I'm trying to think back to when I was in those kind of RPGs where I really felt inspired when something happened in the world. And of course, we're not building an MMO. We don't have that same sort of range of scope. But I remember playing Star Wars Galaxies, and suddenly I stumble across a crate dragon, and I'm like, guys, I need your help. Like, I'm just
you're kiting it and running away.
Next thing I know, like 4 hours later, and suddenly the crew turn up and we're taking it down. But that type of feeling is really what we'd love to be able to create and what we're striving to. So, when we're going to drop an event, and I don't know, like a world boss drops, and it feels like it's impactful to your gameplay, and it feels like you want to either team up with a couple of other people in your clan, or go in solo with a couple of randos that you don't know, and try and achieve something. That's the type of feeling that we want to do.
Okay, so then what we have there is Simon basically saying that, there will be events, shocker, that kind of thing. But the important part there is that some of these events are going to be world bosses of some description, that you can take on co-op with alliance members or friends, or even team up with two or three randomers to kill. So that is exciting. Now, whether these world bosses are going to be heroes with enhanced skill sets, or whether they're going to be actual bosses that they've already designed, that perhaps they took inspiration from when we did that boss event where we had to sort of make stuff up, that remains to be seen. But, pretty cool that they've confirmed that. And I get what Simon was saying, especially in sort of World of Warcraft, for example. In my experience, say you're just walking around the world, whatever, mining or herbalism, whatever, and then there's this rare drop just spawns, and you're just like typing into sort of the world chat, like, here at these coordinates, and tons of people just come down, you'll kill it, you'll get a cool piece of loot or an achievement, something like that. It's cool that they're going to be sort of doing that in the game. Now, as Simon said, they can't quite do it like that. It's going to have to be a pre-planned sort of event drop, but still exciting nonetheless. And you might be able to get masteries from this, so to speak, future masteries. Maybe it's, say, portraits, that kind of thing. But exciting nonetheless. Then after that sort of world boss mention, we're now going to jump to sort of around the 20.5-minute mark, when they're talking about PvP.
Can I buy something in the game that maybe enhances my experience, but doesn't change the challenge level?
Well,
because there are going to be players that want that,
Right.
Yeah, so I think that's cool. I think any type of big PvP where the spenders are allowed to use their main account, I think the main prizes need to be focused around stuff that doesn't actually progress your account. Because those guys, like, if I'm the biggest spender in the game, I don't need a champion as my prize.
Yeah, to win more.
I need cool stuff.
Yeah.
I need cool stuff to
Yeah.
brag with, or I need achievements, or I need something where I can say to the guys, "Look what I did. This is because I'm so good at the game," type of thing. But but what we absolutely will launch with is a normalized PvP mode where you can come in and it's literally.
Okay, so then he sort of starts going on to normalized PvP mode. I'm going to leave it on mute again because the next one isn't too far from here, but it's cool that in the world tournaments, sort of, for example, in Raid, for example, where, I can't remember what it was, but it was a case of you're fighting against 100 people. If you win that group, great, you got, I don't know, Salazar. That's definitely a Watcher of Realms hero, but you get the idea. You got, a hero, but then if you finished in the top 100 in the world, you got something else. It's cool that he's saying that basically they're not going to be doing that, because the guys with all the money don't need the heroes because they can just get it with all the money in the world. It's going to be a cool cosmetic, that kind of thing, that isn't necessarily going to improve their account more and put them even further ahead. So I do like that. The next part sort of comes along the 23-minute marks.
We like those moments, but we also like optimizing and then taking
And theory
the thing,
crafting and
theory crafting.
yeah, and almost like that
Yeah.
hope of
Really
okay, well,
super looking
I've
forward to this
just
game, mate.
got myself Freya. What if I get the pairing to Freya that makes her OP? And it's
The pairing to Freya that makes her OP. That's the bit that stuck out to me. Is this Simon confirming that we're going to have couples in the game? And if so, who's it going to be? That's exciting. And he also says, if they're with this pairing, it's going to make her OP. Does that mean she's not OP as she is? She looks pretty, but she's actually very bad. Come on now. That's something, And that particularly jumped out to me there. That sort of the pairing to Freya that makes her OP. Now, if we pause it here and just go take a look at people Freya is known to be with. So if we take a quick look on sort of Google, Wikipedia, it says in Norse mythology, Freya's husband was an Aesir god named Odd, or Oda. Could it be this guy? What's this guy do? Taking a quick look down here, actually very little is known about the marriage between these, because Odd was often away on his travels. business trips. We know what he was doing. Anyway, but they did have a daughter named Hanos. But it also says she was previously married to her brother for a year. So maybe it's him. Who knows? That could be the pairing. But yeah, potential exciting league just there. So the next part is we jump forward. They're talking about features in other games. Now, this isn't necessarily a reveal per se, but something that I hope that they don't do. So I'm going to let it play.
So I do think that's a balancing act. But for instance, like in a gacha game, I've played gacha games where you have a base and you can build that base, in strategic ways that help your account and in cosmetic ways that make you feel like it belongs to you.
Yeah.
Now, that was it right there. Okay, now, I agree with Cole Red in some way. Now, if we take a look, for example, at the Raid home screen or the Watcher of Realms home screen. Now, being able to customize those, where I don't know, you can change the color of them, perhaps, like you get in the seasonal, sometimes there's a Christmas tree in the middle this time of year, something like that. I'm not necessarily against that, okay? But what I hate is the idea of base building, and they sort of go on to it a bit more into the podcast, and I'll leave a link down there for you guys to watch. But I just hate base building. It's not what I'm playing this game for. I don't want to have to improve my summoning portal 5 levels and farm 100 runs of campaign to get this particular material to increase my chances of summoning, for example. I'm not saying that is what they would do, but you know what I mean? Is it just me? Am I being miserable? Or, to get some quality of life features, you've got to, again, improve your tavern to level 5 to then be able to feed multiple heroes at once, or whatever it is. I really hope that they do not bring in sort of base build. Yeah, that's something that personally I'm not a fan of. Nothing against Carl Red or anyone else sort of thing. But for me personally, base building and bringing that into the core gameplay per se is not something that I want. So then what the sort of penultimate part is to do with masteries. And again, that's coming up sort of just around now.
Got this kind of mastery system. There's a whole bunch of stuff you just know what it's going to be, and you go out and fight. You go out and achieve that, and then a smaller selection are going to be this kind of like mayhem masteries where they're completely unknown, and the first time someone achieves it, it will like pop up, and your clan can then see what that person has done, and it's like, damn, how the hell have you just got that? And so it's kind of like, well, I went in with this team, I'm not really sure what I did. It's like it's almost trying to problem solve what.
Now, this is something I'm a very big fan of. Now, I love the fact that the masteries are achievement related, okay? And I love the fact that some of them could be hidden behind reliquaries, and just the idea of reliquaries in general is something else that I am a big fan of, okay? But yeah, Simon's just confirming that some of the masteries are going to be known to us. It might be something like kill 10,000 bugs, or whatever it is to get increased attack, something like that. But then, as CC said, some of them are mayhem, so they're going to be completely unknown. You're going to see what it is. Like, it might be stalwart defender. We might just know the name and that's it. Maybe we don't know the name, But if you do have the name, it might give you a bit of an idea on how to go through it. Now, the other thing they say is, perhaps there's going to be some sort of like puzzle, quiz, some sort of trail you have to follow, which will then give you the clues to then decide, actually, this is what we need to do to get that. So it's a huge fan. I'm super looking forward to, as I say, being maybe that guy who's like the first in the world. That's going to go down in history, sort of thing, Godforge history, if you will, the first person to find that. Now, some people aren't going to be that bothered. They're going to visit my website, Scrolls of Anubis, whoever, and just be like, I want this, what do I need to do, kind of thing. But for me, I really like the idea of, figuring that out and the excitement, the buzz sort of behind that.
I got you after this one. Don't worry, I got you.
A rare or an uncommon or something, but we'll see.
There you go. That last bit there, it's Simon confirming that Robin Hood is coming to the game as either a rare or an uncommon. Dear me. So that's the end of the YouTube, or the podcast part, if you will. And again, the link for the entire thing will be down below. Go check it out. Next, we're going to drop into Simon's little cheeky vid that he dropped in the main Discord. So the video itself was actually dropped on the 13th of November at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But bear in mind, that is 4 o'clock in the afternoon my time. It might differ for yourself. But if you go to the 13th of November, that's where you'll find the vid. Right, so let's play it and we'll see what's what. So the first thing, we've seen this, okay, nothing new there. Now this is actually something that I've not quite seen before, okay, like the guaranteed exclusive. Now what does exclusive mean? Now, this is normally hidden behind Simon's head, so now that that's moved, that's cool to see, and I'm wondering who that is there. Kinda... I don't know if that's Hercules, or maybe that's someone else. Maybe that's like Orpheus, who'll be paired with Eurydice, something like that. Although he's yellow, so implies legendary hero. I don't know, but that's still kind of fun and cool to see. Now, the summoning animation looks different here as well. Oh yeah, 2 times rates just there. So obviously, like most other games, you're gonna have 2 times up. That's sort of fun. Oh, now that is interesting. Okay, so they've started to develop the summoning animation. Now, I know when I said, when it was first announced, I said what, in my view, the way I envisioned it would be, famous monuments from the various factions that we've had so far, so maybe like the pyramids, maybe like a jade palace, something like that, on a horizon, and then you sort of pan up to the sky. And then, but someone else said, I can't remember who it was, maybe it was Adam or someone like that, said it would be really cool because the game's Godforge, whether you forge the heroes with a hammer. Now, and that appears to be what they have done here. So this is clearly like Mjolnir or something that's coming down. But yeah, it appears we're starting to get a clearer picture of what the summon animation is going to be like. And purple, okay, so that's probably an epic hero. Okay, Brunhild. Okay, we finally get a sneak of the summon animation. Now, I have to say, I'm still not a fan of the sort of hyperspace drive here, but, it doesn't look so bad. Now, at least you've got some buildings the other side. So, cool that they're developing that now. There we are. Oh, hold on. Is this the first affinity? Is blue known as wisdom? That's something to update on the website. There you are, that's cool. So yeah, perhaps wisdom is the first affinity. Okay, and that's that. That was very short and sweet, but some cool things that were revealed to us there. Big fan of that. So especially sort of, it's nice to see, say, the summoning animation come along. So there we are, guys. That is it for today's video. So lots of things spoiled. Do, keep an eye on the channel. I do try and do 2 or 3 videos a week, covering the Tuesday videos, as well as our own Friday reveals that we get. But yeah, thank you for taking the time to watch this. Take care, look after yourselves, work hard, but as always, play harder, and I'll see you in another one soon. Cheers.